And for some analysis of today's election and what it means for Iran's future, let's bring in our chief foreign affairs editor, Rob Parsons. Rob, if conservative cleric Ebrahim Raisi wins as expected, are his politics and policies likely to be able to improve his people's economic situation?
It seems highly unlikely. This is a man who has very little economic experience. His rival in this election, Abdel Nasser Hemati, certainly does have that sort of experience. He's a former head of the Iranian central bank, but his chances of winning are as close to zero as you can get. It's almost certain that Ebrahim Raisi is going to win. The problem really at the moment is not what the policies of Raisi are going to be, although they are important. The big issue at the moment is the direction that Iran goes in internationally. Is it going to start fulfilling its part of the joint comprehensive deal on Iran's nuclear future or not? At the moment, Iran has stepped out of the JCPOA and is going against many of its instructions. As a consequence, sanctions from the United States have been increased under Donald Trump, and the possibility exists that unless Iran fully rejoins the JCPOA, that there'll be further international sanctions as well. That is going to have a big impact on the country, which is already suffering the consequences, as we heard in that report just now, of COVID-19 as well. Iran is caught in a vicious circle, which is really finding extremely difficult to get out of. And having a leadership which is not particularly competent as well is not going to help things.
Let's talk a little bit more about why the field looks the way it does. We've got 4 men running, but current President Hassan Rouhani's allies were barred from running. It does seem that authorities have their finger on the scale a little bit.
No, there's no question about that at all. The reason why Ebrahim Raisi looks like he's got a clear run is because the Council of Guardians, a body of 12 men, jurists and clerics appointed in part by the Supreme Leader and part by the Justice Ministry, which determines who can and who cannot run in the election, has barred all but 7 of those 592 people who applied to compete. It barred all 9 leading reformist candidates. The only one that was left was Abdel Nasser Hemati, who I just spoke about, former governor of the Central Bank of Iran, who at least has economic credentials, but doesn't have any great standing with the reformers. All the weight of the religious apparatus has been put behind Ebrahim Raisi. They want him to win. The flip side of that, of course, is that this is a regime that desperately wants the legitimacy of a high turnout. But by putting its finger on the scales, as you put it so heavily, the chances of it getting that legitimacy are reduced. But I think perhaps one of the reasons that they're so determined this time round to make sure that it's a conservative rather than a reformer wins is because the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, is now 84 years old. I think the last thing they would want is for Ali Khamenei to die during the term of a reformist president. What they're wanting is to ensure that if that does happen, that the conservative establishment is fully in control of what's happening in the country.
Chief International Affairs Editor Rob Parsons, thank you so much.